topics of the day, either political or business. I should drag that intro music out even longer because I like it that much. Maybe I should make it like 5-10 minutes long. I think that'd be just about perfect. No? Okay. Hey, welcome to this edition of the Malliard Report, everybody. I'm happy to have you here. I'm excited to do this. We're doing live calls again tonight because, well, it's the traditional monthly first Tuesday of the month, which means it's time for our live calls installment for the month, which we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic. We're going to start our own third party tonight. Why? Because I bought the domain Malliard.party a year and a half ago and had no better use for it than starting a political party because I'm not a party animal. So we're going to take some live calls about the political parties. But here's some ground rules. We're not going to talk about the election, and we're not going to talk about individuals within either party. Fair? We're talking ideas. We're not talking Trump. We're not talking Biden. We're talking the construct. We're talking the big picture. Because the Democratic Party will be here long after Joe Biden, and the Republican Party will be here long after Donald Trump. We're talking abstract. We're talking actual views, boots on the ground, what matters to people. Not attacking personalities that are current. So, that's the ground rules. Having said all of that, I welcome you all again. The call-in number is 234-738-2552. If you want to join us in the Duck Pond chat room, because I see some of you hanging out anonymously over there, please feel free to. And I'm assuming, which is a gamble on my part, that a bunch of you are out there in the TuneIn Radio app, because I know I'm always blown away how many of you out there are listening to us all the time. And I thank you wholeheartedly for that. But we're going to get into that another time in another show, how much that all means and what this all does. But another topic for another show. Tonight, political parties. Now, the one thing that I threw up when I put the website up and started tweeting about it several thousand times, but only get several thousand views out of it. The one tenet that I laid forward first was term limits. I'm looking for somebody out there to either hop in the chat room or call in this phone number and tell me why I understand why we don't have term limits, because the people that need to vote for them are the people with the jobs. Right? I understand the narrowed-mindedness of that. But why we don't have them. Okay? So if somebody can make the argument pro term limits, I'm looking for you tonight. Anti-term limits, because I'm making the pro-term limits argument, right? Because there's no reason for somebody to be in an office for more than 6, 7, 8, 10 years. I think we could cap it at 2 terms of 5 years for anything, right? Or 2 4-year terms like president. The numbers are boxy here. We could figure that out. I'm just saying, let's have term limits. So if you are anti-term limits, please, the number's open. Give me a ring. It seems simple to me, right? It just seems simple. Also, yes, Germantown Runner. I was just bringing that up actually because I wanted to get to it. Germantown Runner laid out a 10-point plan on the website, which is Malliard.party. Great place. I think we're going to keep doing this. I don't think tonight's discussion is going to be the end of this. I think tonight's discussion is going to be the start of this. I think this is something we need to monitor, keep our eye on. I don't know if this is going to become the traditional December show. It could very well become that, because as listeners know, I do a traditional predictions show in November. This might become their traditional December show. So if that sounds like something you want to keep talking about, let me know, because this conversation isn't going away, but I don't know how often we have to visit it. So light that up for me as well. So Germantown Runner left his 10-point outline on the website. I'm going to be reading some of that to you. welcome somebody to the program here directly as soon as everything clicks through. Welcome to the Malliard Report, May. Let's see who's calling first, and we'll go from there. Hello. You there? I think we had a phone malfunction. Welcome to call back, of course. I don't have your number, so I cannot call you back because of how the system's rigged. That way I do not know who's calling. I know that makes it, some people make a big deal out of unscreened open lines, but I'm not going to do that. That's not my job. I just do it unscreened. Anyways, so, but first, before I get into Germantown Runner stuff, I want to get to Caleb's comment. And Caleb, I thank you for leaving a comment on the website. Takes some courage to stand up and say this. But I have a question. I'm going to look at Caleb's column now. We need to reinforce our Christian values. We must become a party of blue-collar workers. Okay. I will agree the blue-collar worker bit. Now, the problem that I kind of have is reinforcing our Christian values, because back when the founding fathers came here, it was a place for religious freedom because they weren't getting that elsewhere. So, well, most of them were of a Christian faith. It wasn't necessarily their idea to become a Christian country. I know. That's controversial, and that's a hot take, and I want to settle it for a second, right? But I think, Caleb, I can agree on a few basic tenets here that we can all agree to be better people. Let's see if this call works out. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So may I ask who's calling?
What was that?
What's your name?
Law.
Okay, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
So what do you got for my political party? Or what do you want to discuss at least?
Hitler?
Okay, what about him?
I love him.
Okay, why?
He's black.
Okay. Why do you love him, besides that? Come on, give me some information here. Well, there we go. Live calls, baby. Live calls. Okay. Keep calling back. I'll keep taking them. I don't care. He hung up on me, just for the record. So. Okay, so we're getting the Germantown Runners points. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
How are you?
Is this Jim?
It is.
I'm good. I'm feeling crappy tonight.
Oh, no shit. I didn't recognize your voice. I do now. Man, you do sound like shit.
Yeah, I'm wiped out. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm wiped out. It's good to know that you're becoming a celeb when you get the prank callers and people talking about Hitler and black.
Yeah, I was ready for that conversation. I wanted to go there, but apparently he didn't want to.
Yeah, it's just someone being a freaking pain in the ass. Whatever. They're bored in their life.
It is one of those, right?
Yeah, so just to address Caleb, because I went to the Post, Malliard.party.
Yep.
The country was founded in Judeo-Christian values, and it was an open religious society where they're not going to persecute your religious beliefs. That being said, it's lasted for hundreds of years in the Judeo-Christian value and also the other religions that have come here, and I don't think we need to go crazy on that end personally. I like some of Dave's ideas, but if you're going to start a party, you need to, in my opinion, go back to basing it on, a lot of the founding fathers' documentation, all those rights there, and shall not be infringed is part of those rights. That's the Second Amendment. The reason why it's the second, it guarantees all. That being said, I think, this party should be about educating people instead of banning things. And I'll go to the second. I think everybody, like in Switzerland and some other countries, with the exception of people on heavy medications that can cause issues, should be required to take a class on firearm safety and qualify at least once a year, and we'll have no more problems with this firearm stuff. That's one. Two, I like the idea of, I can go with the idea of term limits if you get, because you got to get rid of the corporate end of money coming in. This is a big problem. I don't think corporations should have the same rights as human beings. I don't care what they do. It is a privilege by we the people to allow you to do business in this country, and you don't have rights. Your right is to do business here. Your right does not go above and beyond anything that's human, and you shall not be able to donate any money to any fund whatsoever, any party, be it the Malliard party or anybody else. I also think you should limit, if we're going to do a party, to limit the amount of money being used for running an election to no more than $1 million per state. And I think the reason why I chose that, it's a nice number. Everybody's semi on the same playing field if they can raise that kind of money. And the one you want to look to is the better person, be it the party, the Malliard party, or some other party, is the one that has more money at the end of the game. That's someone that knows how to manage a budget and take things, knows how to do things properly. I think we have a pretty good outline in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, with the exception of the racist stuff. We can get rid of that wholeheartedly. There was a large portion way back when these men committed treason, that wanted to include slaves and women in this, and they lost the support at that point. So they had to do what they had to do to overcome, and break free from Britain. Should it have been rectified and remedied after that? Sure. But I think we could learn from our past mistakes, and we have a doozies right now. And I'm not pointing to any fingers, but, when you said that the Republican Party and the Democrat Party will be here forever, I don't know after this election. This country is going to be fundamentally changed after this election, depending on an outcome.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
You know this. I'm here because I feel like I'm trying to either mark history or be in front of history, and I think I'm trying to be in front of history in this one.
Yeah, the problem is you are probably a decade too late. This was a great idea when Ross Perot started it, and the problem with Ross Perot was he had to quit because he knew he was going to win at that point. I do believe Perot would have won the election, and I don't think that's what he was really calling attention to. He was using it as a soapbox to tell everybody what the problems are in this country. I think it scared him that he could have won, and I think he could have won if you look back on it. So I think it's a great idea that what you're doing. I like some of the ideas Dave had over at Malliard.party. You may want to look at them. But everything that's wrong now is because we've created a world or a country that is, through the last couple of decades, where we're all winners has translated into we're now all babies and we all deserve something. It's my right. It's not your right. And we got to get that into this party where we're going to say that, yes, you will work. There's no, freebies. There's no handouts. If you need help, we can help, but up to a point. And we got to get people off of this. They expect it, or get back to reparations or whatever. There's so many different things that people are asking for. It's fundamentally crazy. and we have to work on a unity of the party if you're going to do it. You want to be united.
Yeah, I
You
think
can't
that's,
have,
that's a key
Yeah, sorry
tenet.
about that.
No, I'm sorry. I wanted to jump on this because it was one of my notes, so I figured I'll just pour it in here on top of yours and call it a day.
Yeah.
It's time that a party or even a political person says, I'm done dragging other people through the mud. This is what we're going to do. And, lay out their values, because often it's more the other guy doesn't know what he's doing versus this is how we're going to do it, instead of saying I have all these great ideas and then the other guy's bad and then walking off the stage. Right? Both sides are guilty of that.
Well, right. I mean, I also think that in order to qualify for a position and within government, be it city, state, local, federal, I think you should have to put in the time. It's the Chick-fil-A mentality, where in order to own a restaurant, you have to actually go through every position. And the reason for that is you have to experience every aspect of what is expected to own that restaurant, what is needed and required. So if you want to be president one day, well, you better start running on a local assemblyman. And then from assemblyman, maybe go to I'm looking in New York, a borough presidency. Then from that, maybe get to the mayor position. And so, and slowly build up so that you have more foundation behind you.
I think
versus these people that come out of nowhere.
I think that was more likely back in the day, because you had to build the brand of people knowing who you were. Minus Lincoln, because Lincoln was a nobody, which still blows my mind how that guy got elected. I mean, he was well-spoken, right? But seriously, was a trial lawyer in Springfield, Illinois. Think about it.
Yep. There's a lot of problems here. And there's a lot of misinformation. And we've got to be very truthful and frank with this stuff if you're really going to start a party. Now, I think if you wanted to model after something, again, go back to what the founding fathers kind of envisioned. And then on top of that, maybe add like a Jeffersonian liberalism, which is a true liberal, which is more like a libertarian today. There'll be a lot of government, like there won't be as much government, and people get to do and live their lives and make their money, and we go on. Taxing is not the way to do it. Long before we had taxes, we had tariffs. That's what was supporting this country, and that was trying to be done recently in another party's administration. And we can do very well by tariffing the goods, because, look, we're the largest consumers in the world. Why do we have to keep putting more and more money into taxes and taxing on top of it when we're going to consume it, and if you want to do business in our country, you have to pay the tariff. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
That's good. It's good stuff. It's important, because I think there's a lot of things, like you said, there's a lot of things out there. Like I said earlier, we're not going to solve this problem tonight, but I want to honestly I just want to start having honest conversations about political, easy for me to say, issues that aren't skewed in the moment, because we get so lost in the whatever, impeachment, whatever. We start and then it just becomes really polarizing really quick, because one way or the other. But we've lost the actual issues that most people, A, understand, and B, actually care about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's really interesting. One of my first gigs was working for the IMF and World Bank, basically the UN, and my project was, what I was assigned was to come up with a plan to get rid of third world debt, right? So my first question to the committee that I was meeting with is, I'm like, are you just doing this as a mouthpiece, or do you really want to do it? And the snickers I got and the crooked smiles told me everything. Oh, no, we really want to do it. I'm like, uh-huh. And I gave them a plan. And actually, after they read through it, they were kind of blown away by how it would work. And I've actually never heard anything back from them whatsoever about it. I left that and went to pursue other things. But recently, some of the stuff that I wrote, no one's ever talked about, but I started seeing it in some of the other ideas and concepts recently of what should be done in this current situation. So someone's been reading that paper again, that report. And you know what? I'm all for helping as many people as we can, but if we can't take care of Americans first, I have a problem with it. If we can't take care of the people that put their lives on the lines, our veterans, I've got a problem with it. If we have any children in this country that are Americans that are homeless or hungry, I have a problem with doing anything for anybody else until that is solved. It's not socialism. It's you take care of the family. Then you can go be charitable. And that's what this party should be looking to do. Other than that, I'll let somebody else call in.
I was going to say, I think that's where we're headed. I think that's some solid tenets. I can't argue taking care of yourself first before you take care of others. Obviously, that's just...
Yep. It's really important, and people are missing out. It's not about free college. You could, if any people in a certain age bracket right now that had they not gone to college and they went and became blue-collar worker or worked for roads, construction, even police or fire, they would have been retired by now with a nice pension, a lot of money, and probably working a cushy gig in some office and making even more. It's not necessarily college. College today is the new high school. Graduate school is the new college. And postgraduate is possibly the new graduate school. Got a lot of people here that think they're smart, but they are not. And we need to educate people properly.
Education could be a single show in this series of shows we can do.
Yeah. Well, I know a doctor that you can get on. A safety doctor you can get back.
Yeah, I was going to say, he'd probably love to talk about that.
Yes. But
actually, I'll let. Thanks for the reminder. I need to send him a message. It's been too long since I said hello to him.
Yeah, get him back on because he can talk to you about this, and he'd love to get in there. But I'll go back to the duck pond and play my feathers.
Hey, feel better too, man. Take care of yourself and do whatever you got to do.
I hope so.
So.
Yep.
All right. Well. Thanks, brother.
Bye.
And that's the Brian Bowden calling in to leverage his 2 cents, and I think we got more than 2 cents, but I don't know what inflation is anymore, so we'll just call it 2 cents and call it a day. Yes. So, go ahead. You can call in now. The line's back clear, so if you want to call in now is your opportunity. I did dodge a call quick in that conversation early on, and I haven't tried calling back, so here we go. So, I just want to bring up Germantown Runners here. $1.50. Brian Bowden says $1.50. He's probably right. Well worth the time. Well worth the thoughts. And that's what I'm saying. Good, deep conversations what we're looking for here tonight. Okay, so getting back to the Germantown Runners A plan, 10-point plan here. Let's get a few of these off before we take our next call. But if you want to call in, we'll get to them before the show's over. I promise, Germantown Runner, because important. The first one is funding a strong defense. I'm all on board with making sure we're prepared. Not necessarily $200 government hammers, though, but we can do that wisely. And best defense, right? I mean, good solid defense. There's nothing wrong with it. Continuing to dedicate to nationalism, the American first over globalism. Like I said, there is something to be said for that. Take care of like we were just talking with Brian, take care of yourself first and then worry about everybody else, which is a world-class idea in my opinion. Obviously, this one, he must have stole, obviously. Establishing term limits for the U.S. House and Senate. I think Bowden pointed out that you need to climb the ladder. I'm saying do the same, or do something. So, yes, Germantown Runner just adds provide for the common defense. Yes, that's a must. And but there are also other partners that need to step up in this conversation around the world. But that's a global conversation that we can have, too. which we should, and we may. We probably will at some point. What else? Where was I? Strengthening the commitment to our Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights. You know, I think, here's the next thing. I think we need to stop the rhetoric when it comes to some of these things and just let people understand what they are and not twist them so much when we try to use them. Right? Okay. Reinforce the fact that we are a constitutional republic, not a classic democracy. Very good point, and that requires some knowledge that I just don't have at my fingertips. I thought about looking it up earlier today, and then life went to hell in a handbasket, and I didn't get the definitions pulled up. But yes, I do remember that from school, but I don't have the factual information in front of me. So, negotiate fair trade deals. Yeah, fair for both sides, right? Yeah. Seems easy enough, but it's never quite done that way. Requiring paper ballots for all presidential congressional, not correction, and state elections. Yeah, I mean, hack proof, right? Paper ballots, simple, straightforward, no chads, no other stuff. But this is 2020. We should be able to do this in a straightforward manner. End this country's involvement in needless foreign entanglements, bringing our troops home from areas in the world where no longer involved with open hostilities. Classic democracy comes here from Germantown, where the public votes on everything. Constitutional republic, we the people vote our interests in that nationally and statewide. I did know that, but it just didn't stick in my head, and I didn't want to be wrong. Erring on the side of caution here tonight, folks. Embracing open market capitalism while maintaining minimal safety net with those limitations. Okay, now Dave, Germantown Renner, I want to ask you a question about this. Because you were directly impacted by this sentiment to a point. I'm twisting this though, and this is what I'm trying to avoid. But open market, this is where it gets ugly, right? Because in my mind, open market says if I open a social media platform, I control it. You can either use it or not use it. Now, there are some people out there that say these social media sites are a utility and should not be controlled in a box. They should be deregulated, have full freedom of speech in that ballgame. That just blew my own mind, and that's not a good thought. That's not a good moment for me. It's not a good look for me when I'm sitting here thinking about things live on the air. Because I just caught myself on the camera. That's just not a good look. Okay. But that's the type of nuanced discussion. Because social media is worldwide too, and that's the other thing. Not everybody has the same right of free speech and the ability to use it. So, are you limiting your reach again? Oh, Brian Bowden just ruined. I know this one's going to be controversial, but I'm interested in that. Free speech for all, but then because it's a site based in the United States, or are you limiting it to United States users only to protect other people's outside interests? Brian Bowden, the controversial topic, probably the fiery take of the night so far. Reading from the Duck Pond chat room. If you're not there and you haven't been there before, you need to get here. Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern live. I'm telling you. I look forward to the chat room almost as much as I look forward to doing the show. And that's not an overstatement. Great people in there. Great things pop up in there. Makes the show that much better. And for those of you who weren't watching on video, I did the big scale with my hand. Each U.S. citizen should be issued a passport card by the federal government and used when casting a vote. You mean a federal ID? Not that I'm directly opposed to that, but what about the state's rights when it comes to issuing an ID? And when is this ID issued? And how is this ID issued? Is there a test? Is it like the Social Security card? Come on, keep bringing it. Let's go. I know there's a lag, so we're just going to lag through this with you. Does it replace anything? Or is it a standalone thing? It's a heavy topic because I know there's some blowback to more government control. Right? And I know there's different standards of evidence when it comes to getting a state-issued ID, which causes problems. Right? There's also different concealed weapons permits, which blows my mind. I thought we could figure that one out together, but apparently not. Because you can carry in some states with a permit, and some other states you can't. You need a different permit. Some states just have their own. You'd figure... that's above my pay grade. I don't know enough about that, but I do know it's confusing. That's for sure. No, Brian Bowden chimes in here. No, a passport card that is used to travel to Mexico and Canada. Each state can issue their own card. That way you could have it. Can be added to each of the states, so you carry one. All you have to do is carry one card. I'm not disagreeing here, guys. Don't think I am. I'm just trying to make sure we're all nuanced enough to say issuing a federal ID plus a state ID. I mean, there are people that, have issues with state IDs because it infringes on their freedom. Not my words, trust me. There were big air quotes around that. So, what I'm saying? And then obviously because, Brian, you're going to love this. You're going to love me for this. Where do we go? If it's added to the driver's license in each state, is this kind of, we're targeting real ID here? Isn't that the national thing? So maybe we are actually already closer to this than I'm portraying. Which I haven't got my real ID because I don't plan on going anywhere that I'd need a real ID. Closest I jokingly refer to as coming as a federal courthouse, right? And I'll probably be the defendant. Probably won't need an ID to get in. Just kidding, everybody. Good grief. Yeah, we have real ID and it's a passport. Now, see, that's what I'm saying. How much... I guess I'm interested in less government in this moment, is what I'm saying. Right? So, I think we need to streamline something here. Now, is it open-ended passport based on this and change how the driver's license thing is structured? Right? Or get rid of the real ID and go to this other card? Or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking... I don't want to get too lost in not the details, but I don't want to be adding another layer of adding problems to things. I want to be, I think a government issued ID is a great idea. Now, is it state issued or federal issued? What are the parameters to get it? Now, see, this is the conversation topics that I'm talking about having here tonight. I don't want to get too hung up on this one, but this is what I'm saying. These are the type of issues that the majority of people want to know about and have issues with. Getting a driver's license, right? Most people... Germantown Runner, put a number on this. I want to put a number on this. Ready? Here we go. The percentage of people that could find Iran on a map. Germantown Runner. Throw up a guess. I don't know. And I don't know if there's an actual... I know there were statistics about this at one point. I don't know how accurate they were or still current they are. Just curious. I'm going to say a number here now that I've kind of gave him a chance to think about it and type up an answer. I'm going to say 30%. Brian Bowden typed up 35. See what Germantown Runner says here before I move on off this. Give him a second here to... He's probably Googling faster than his fingers can carry him right now, trying to get the actual answer so he can be right. So, well, I mean, yeah, U.S. and Canada are travel partners and closer. I mean, people in New York are obviously bordered on Canada, plus all the other states, don't get me wrong. The Dakotas, Montana. I don't know the answer to Germantown. I was just kind of throwing that out there as, well, travel is important. So, are we going to go to a one federal issued beacon? Is it a hybrid passport and your driver's license? Is that where we want to go? Which I'm totally fine with. Totally 100% fine with. I just don't want to be adding a new layer on top of the real ID and the passport and all this other stuff. I know. DuckDuckGo. The original search engine of the Malliard Report. Oh, speaking of which, I came up with this line this afternoon in the chat room, and you all are going to love it. I say quack in the chat room to people who pop in instead of saying hello, just because it's kind of a tip of the bill to the last name. Quack is the original Q conspiracy. Okay, I got it. Anyways, says hello to the anons in the chat room. Oh boy, I'm gonna get myself in so much trouble for that. Okay, so we've got Germantown runners' points that we read off, which I think many are very valid, and very worth looking into. Did I say overhauling the national immigration system while strengthening our southern border and our virtual borders? And he put that in brackets, and virtual borders shouldn't be in brackets. This is important, right? We hear all the time about these different things, these different international scandals. Either side has an international scandal. So we have issues internationally we need to look into and solve. Let's see. Yeah, I want to make sure we're getting... Sorry, I'm reading Brian Bowman's comment here about one card. I want to make sure we're, because it's a hassle to carry all 6, 7, 8 different things, right? And of course, I do realize, right? Let's all realize that I'm not sure how secure this is, but the security is coming to make this possible, where we're not going to be carrying any cards, right? From Germantown Runner, from thriftytravel.com, just 43% of Americans have a passport. I would have thought that number would have been higher. And I wonder, of that 43%, who actually get out and travel. I mean, obviously pre-COVID, right? Nobody's traveling right now. God bless that industry, right? I mean, travel is a real problem. Keeping that going till we can travel again. Okay, so that's an interesting statistic. Interesting stuff going down here tonight. That's why I enjoy this topic, this conversation. Because, well, on the surface, right, we all kind of know where both parties are, right? We kind of believe we know where both parties are. I'm not exactly sure we do anymore, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Right, we're here to kind of... I think Germantown Runner once told me I'm leaning towards purple. Right? Because I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I'm purple, which is in the middle. And I think, of course, here we are after another hotly contested election, and I'm saying this again. More people are going to turn that way. And while I fully expect in the 2024 cycle, God, I'm not going to spend 4 years talking about this. Yeah, I am. I fully suspect more people are going to drive towards the center and tired of the rhetoric of both sides, and there's a great opportunity for somebody to come in and just say simple things matter to people. Right? Simple things. Main Street matters to people. I know I seen. Man, I feel stupid right now. I should have this number up in front of me. Of course, I wasn't planning on going here, but the percentage of people that own stocks in America is ridiculously low. For as much coverage as it gets in the media about how great it is doing, that number doesn't equate to me. It's like 21%, which is half of the people that have passports. I'm sure most of them own stock, give or take. Like, it is amazing, right? Main Street matters to people more than Wall Street. I don't think that can be overlooked in our basic tenets of life. And so there's that. So we need to address that in some way, that's some meaningful way, to make sure that our main streets, our small businesses, our independent contractors, our small people are taken care of. Also, we need to, boy, this is a tough one, right? Buckle up. This is where the show gets real. Real in a big way here. Ready? We need to address the healthcare system. And I'm not saying free healthcare for everybody. Right? I'm fully not saying that. Now, if that's a byproduct of what I'm saying, so be it. But I'm saying we need to get it under control. What do you mean, get it under control? Well, when a night in the hospital costs more than a night at the 4-star hotel down the road, just to stay, not the nursing care, not any of the other stuff, right? I'm just talking about the bed and the night in the hospital. We need to look at what is going on. But we won't. And this is the crux of the problem for all of the stuff we're talking about. Main Street over Wall Street, healthcare, even these political travel issues, term limits. This is where like I said, this is where the show gets real. There is too much built-in control of these things because there's too much money in lobbying. Too much money in the keeping the current system going, which is why the Reform Party failed, why the Tea Party failed, why this, why that, why this old stuff has never got too far off the ground, because there's a lot of money, and if you don't like something, you can make it go away when you have a lot of money. Tell me I'm not true. Right? It's true. We can all agree that money makes things go away. Okay, so back to Germantown Runner here for a second. The stock market, a 55% of Americans own stock, according to a Gallup poll. I don't think it's that. I think a majority is owned by a small percentage, though. I mean, I think some people own a stake of their company, like Walmart incentivizes employees with some stock. I think, there's other companies that do that. So I'm sure a bunch of people own 2 shares of Walmart. Or whatever it is. I could be wrong. I probably am. And I'll be the first to sit here and say I was wrong. I think you guys know that by this point in the program. Okay. Real honest issues, though, right? Down to the core. That's why, as much as I want a third party to secede, libertarian, independent, green, tea, reform, until enough of us say we're tired of playing the political game, which is basically bouncing back and forth and slinging mud at each other and just kind of coasting along. Is that a fair statement? Coasting along? Could we be doing more than we're doing? If we had a clear plan, I know this has been thrown around in the last election cycle, a mandate. Well, when the vote comes back so closely, there isn't a mandate. There's a bunch of people divided. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about being divided. It's fine to be divided on issues, but right now we're divided over personalities and people, not over issues. And it goes back to the simplest philosophy in the history of politics. Back to the Romans. Probably back further than this. I bet you Caesar said this at one point. Prove me wrong. I bet he did. Divide and conquer. Well, he didn't say it in English, I'm sure. He probably said it in Roman or Latin or Greek or whatever. No guarantees he said it in English, because that'd be way cool. So we first have to realize that we're getting played, and it's ugly, and it's hard. It isn't about the real issue, it's about the person on the other side and how much can we attack them and beat them down, which isn't cool. We need to be looking forward together while working out these issues. There are some things we can all agree on. Some things we can't. But while we're trying to sort out the things we can't, we need to be working on the things we can. Not arguing so much about the things we can't. It's just a hard reality, guys. It's not easy. It's not easy. As a married guy for 14 years now, I had to do the math real quick there on that one. There are days it's difficult, right? But it always comes back. You got to make it work. You put the pieces together. You sit down and have an honest conversation. You figure out where you are today, and then you move on till tomorrow. And as Brian was talking about, our founding fathers were human. We kind of put them on a pedestal at times, which rightfully so. But we also have to remember the world has changed in 300 years. It just has. 250 years. Either way, bad math. Honesty. It just has. The world has changed. Okay? Listen to this broadcast. If you're listening to this broadcast, you already understand the basic premise of how this world has changed. Right? The world has changed. The world is smaller. I know I have listeners in over 100 countries around the world, and some of them are just absolutely angered by tonight's show. Sorry. It's an honest conversation we need to have. It's time to reflect. It's time to realize what works and what doesn't work. Is this third party, is the Malliard party going to become a real thing and viable and run candidates in 2024? Probably not. Does that make tonight's show any less important? No. Tonight's show is about achieving this moment in time where I request that you look within yourself and ask yourself, do I really agree with my party's beliefs? Is my party doing what they say they're doing? Not what I hear on the news, not the rhetoric, not the echo chamber based news that I listen to, but is my party doing what it's supposed to be doing? Are my people in my parties representing my views? So that's what this comes back to. Germantown Runner made us come to that earlier about how we send people with our mission and have them do our work. That's what we need to do. Have these people having our conversations for us. Not necessarily because of us, but not necessarily in spite of either, right? We have to understand and be uncomfortable at times with these conversations. I mean, there are a lot of conversations out there that make people uncomfortable. And I'm thinking of one right now that I know will make people cringe immediately when I say the word. Right? You're all ready? Because I've kind of hit some of these high notes, and it seems like I'm slowing down a little bit. It's an honest discussion we're having here tonight. It's not meant to be hyped and over the top. It's heartfelt. It's coming from it. So I hope you enjoy it. Or at least, maybe in 6 months, you'll listen to this show, and you'll send me an email, and you'll say, Jim, thank you. I had a moment. And that's what this show's for. This show isn't for, oh great, that was a great show. No, the show was to make you think about what you believe and who you believe in. It's an uncomfortable conversation to be having. Okay, so the word from a few minutes ago that I teased is abortion. Very hot topic issue, family planning, the whole mess, right? And there's two different definite sides to that issue, and there isn't much purple in that issue, right? I guess there's pro-choice, but I think that type of issue, it's not necessarily, I mean, there is purple in there, but that purple tightens pretty quick, right? As we're coming out of the V of these parties, because as you get further away from the essential point of believing, different things, that V, where that V meets about being a great American, splits and goes up to the different topics, right down there towards the core of that purple that I think fills the V. And I'm going to make a graph for the Malliard Party page that shows this, because it's an interesting visual I've got in my head, real time. Down towards the bottom of that V is abortion. I don't think there's much middle ground there. I think it's one of the most polarizing issues you can come across. Now, I'm not going to tell you where I stand on that, because that's not the point of tonight's show either. But the point of tonight's show is to make you think, process, and come up with your own list. Germantown Runner did a great list. Caleb made a great point. Brian Bowden phoned in and made his bunch of points, and I've seen a few popping up in the chat room, and I appreciate all of them. And you've heard some of my questions about all of this throughout this process, which is why I'm here. Not to stand here and say, these are my tenets, follow me to victory. Because obviously, I just got done saying a few minutes ago, this isn't about starting a real party. Now, if that becomes a byproduct of this by 2028, 2032, fine, so be it. Yes, I just referenced 2032 on the program. Or for those of you cool kids who didn't do the math, 12 years from now. How many other show hosts can even look that far and say, if we're going to be having an ongoing conversation 12 years into the future and not bat an eye and not blink about it? I plan on being here. I plan on, there are long-term plans always in motion for this program. That's a whole other conversation for another time. The social discussion we're having tonight drives me and fuels me, because I feel a responsibility to you, the listener. Now, not the listener, because you're not a listener to this program. You're actively engaged at this point, because you've stuck through it to this point. I feel an obligation to bring you content that makes you think week in and week out. And that's what I did tonight. I know I'm still thinking about things rapidly as I'm sitting here. Things I want to say. Things I'm glad that I get the opportunity to say to you tonight about these different things. Because normally I get the guest on, we start talking, and you don't get a lot of me. And the show isn't about me. It never has been, it never will be. The show is always about the topic at hand, or the guest at hand. But sometimes these call-in shows and the monologue shows give me the opportunity to pull back that curtain for just a moment and say, and explain, and give you some in-depth of why these questions come out the way they do. So I hope you appreciate that, looking in at it. So we've got less than 5 minutes left. Boy, this show has flown by, because I just realized there was 5 minutes left, and I've got outro music, Hey, if you haven't paid attention to the new outro, pay attention because you could save some money this holiday season. Just so you know. Cool stuff going on. Just have to tease that. Okay, so seriously though, take a few minutes, write down, make a list. You don't have to do it on the website if you don't want to. I understand most people don't want to leave comments anymore, don't want to get ridiculed on social media, prefer to live kind of the quiet life. Yes, Germantown Runner points out, don't forget to mention your first pro-Hitler color. Boy, that is a first. That's a feather. Gotta have to remember that one. But now, think about it. Just take a list. Take a minute. Take an index card. Write the few things that are actually important to you. And figure out if they still align with who you think they do. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of things that I look at and go, I thought that was the other party. I feel like I'm supporting the wrong party now. Of course, I'm an independent, so I've had those conversations for a long time. And that's where I come to, because no matter which party I pick, I can't stay with them 100% of the time. And I feel that most people out there listening to this broadcast, whenever they're listening to it, are in that same situation. And there has to be a better way than feeling that we just have to pick between the two lessers of two evils. Because that isn't living, gang. That's picking between the lessers of two evils. Sorry, not sorry. So maybe it is time we start evaluating the two evils and saying, maybe a third evil might help us. Or a fourth evil. Or a fifth evil. There's no reason we don't have more. Minus the current restrictions that money allows. But right now, we're at a great place in the world. Because money doesn't matter as much as it did. Because you can get your message out there and you can have your message heard any number of ways. And that's what I have just done tonight, gang. Reach out and do, if you want to do this. If you want to start your own party and you want to be involved in politics, do it. Tip the cap to me later and tell me how it's impacted you, right? I'll be the footnote in history. That's great. I will love that. I'll put your book on the shelf over there with all the other great books I have over there. Right? We can all do it. Whatever it is, we can all set our mind to it and do it. So, take it away, right? Take these things away. Realize that, yes, while a small guy who you never heard of 10 years ago is sitting in a studio tonight in snowy western Pennsylvania, is challenging your core political beliefs on an epic scale. I want you to fundamentally look at what you believe. Fundamentally. Not what party you are, but what you actually believe. That's what I want. Revisit it in 6 months. Seriously, I know tonight's show is going to generate an email in 6 months and a year, and somebody's going to be really grateful they took the opportunity to evaluate what they believe in. And now that's going to make me so happy. Makes me happy now thinking about it, because I know I've evaluated. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Malliard Report. Stay tuned for details on saving money at the Duck Pond Shop. I hope you enjoyed this report. Please subscribe so that you can join us again. And if you appreciate the show, leave us some stars or a review. For more notes from this show or other great shows, check out Malliard.com. A reminder, the views and opinions of this show are those of the host and guest and do not represent any sponsors, affiliates, or any other partners of the Malliard Report. Now for your money-saving tip. Promo code Malliard at checkout of duckpondshop.com, where you can get your t-shirt, coffee mug, and other great products. That's promo code Malliard at checkout of duckpondshop.com. Until next week, stay safe and keep quacking.